Let me start the discussion with Devesh. Devesh, what do you feel as a business leader is the business case for having a multi-channel service delivery model?
I think the primary need is that is driven by customers. So the customers of our customers are increasingly facing volatile markets. There's geographic shift happening where companies headquartered in the West are increasingly having to shift their base to the Eastern Hemisphere because of the emerging market pulls. So we have a lot of manufacturing companies, just to quote an example, which historically headquartered in Europe and North America suddenly find that they have to set up facilities in the East. What that really means is that they need a variabilized cost model, all right? Because they can't get stuck with fixed costs for a very long time. And that's where digitization and multi-channel delivery kicks in very quickly. You need nimble and agile service providers who can give you that flexible shift to go where their markets are. And that's what it's all about, to give you flexibility and agility to your customers so that you can move on quickly and innovate with them hand in hand.
Sure. So agility and nimbleness, as you said. What are your views on this?
So how I look at it is that as the organizations today are all focusing around their business processes as well as business performance to be customer centric, it is extremely important that we step back and take a very customer centric approach to it. What has happened in the recent past is that enterprises, large enterprises have had customers which are segmented, and this segmentation could have happened because of the way organizations are structured, boundaries, divisions, and so on and so forth. Now is the time to step back and think, do we have the right customer engagement strategy which is nimble and agile, which can service the customers? So I think it is extremely important that in this world which is being driven by the digital revolution, we step back and say that what is it? Is it our process? Is it the technology, or is it the combination of process and technology that will drive this customer engagement? And hence, to your question, what will drive that big change? So that's one point that I would
Sure. No, great inputs. Sir, as a service provider, what are your thoughts on the issue?
If you look at how telecom has actually evolved, right? IP itself is a great enabler for this, because there's a lot of convergence that happens on IP. If it was TDM earlier, where customers were comfortable with, right? Even from a security point of view, earlier you would say that I want TDM circuits and not IP. Now, because it is IP, it naturally throws up other challenges in terms of, is it secure, is it scalable, is it SLA bound, right? Those are things that are coming up more and more, and we are starting to address. We believe that, at least as a service provider in the Tata Communications case, I can say that we have seen IP transform itself we embrace IP really wholeheartedly much early in the life cycle. And this has enabled us to help service the customers in the various forms, right? Be it voice or video or the new webmail services that are coming in, or multiple forms of technology that are going to happen even in the future, right? When IoT becomes a reality. So the big challenge in front of us is the scale at which it is growing, right? How do we actually increase the capacity that we have on our networks going forward? And this is becoming a big challenge. And from our perspective, we are focusing a lot of demand on IP, the growth of IP, as all these technologies start converging on that. So we are enabling customers to have a single SIP, for example, a global SIP, to connect their various delivery centers on which they can run all the technologies together, control it, scale it, or even go on usage base, right? Usage base is what you were mentioning as well, which is important. As well as look at the infrastructure in such a way that you take it in smaller bits, and also look at it from a global scalability perspective. That's what we are doing.
So, Devesh, as you just said, a lot of advantages of having a multi-channel service delivery makes an organization nimble, agile. But it is easier said than done. What do you feel are the challenges in having such a strategy in place?
So I think staying with the cloud discussion, which is kind of the flavor of the day, the month, a few years now. We have moved to a converged model. And since Sridhar used the word converged, it's a very important term, I think. Increasingly, our customers are asking us for an end-to-end customer experience, which includes application development, testing, infrastructures, service management, and going down to BPO. So a lot of our customers are now going to a converged customer experience. Okay, that demand is coming in, and we are standing up to that demand. The point is, in that embedded is the cloud solution. And a lot of companies are still getting used to the idea of having to work outside their firewalls and have sensitive data moving out of their firewalls. And then that immediately brings in the challenge of security, an extra layer of security, including cyber security. So we have had to build in especially strong controls to make sure that customers feel comfortable to move out of their secure environments and still get the benefits and the optimized experience in terms of cost as well as in terms of customer experience. So security to me is a big challenge that we have had to address in a converged experience, and there are ways to overcome it, and we have overcome it. So, but since you talked about challenges, that was one thing that immediately comes to mind.
So security definitely a big challenge. Whenever you talk about cloud, security invariably comes up. Any other challenge that you feel, ma'am, is a roadblock or a hindrance?
Yeah, so the way I look at it is that, traditionally organizations have looked at it from a process perspective or from a technology perspective. There are organizations that have led this initiative from a very technology view, wherein the disruptive technologies are all available today. We all saw the mobility era in the last 3 to 5 years, which led the wave of driving a different kind of customer experience. Then comes another set of organizations or groups which look at it from a very process-centric view. I think it is extremely important, going back to my previous point, on customer being at the center of it. So do we have the right design? Are we thinking it in the right manner? It's no more about technology, it's no more just about a process. It is a combination. So are we thinking, can we apply design thinking? Design thinking is not something new. We have been doing it for ages. Can we apply design thinking to define what is it that the customers are looking for, and hence take care of the technology related challenges which may come with security, which may come with the other technology advances that are happening in this industry, and may come with the options that are now available to the end consumer, which can completely disrupt the way you want to offer your services. So to me, the paradigm shift has happened in the thinking that needs to be done, both from a technology as well as from a process perspective. Is, can you bring in the element of design thinking? Can you think, design, and then execute versus have technology lead it or just process lead it? That's how I would kind of think about it.
Right. So security, mindset change. What else, Sridhar, do you feel?
Yeah, while she was talking about security, I wanted to dwell on one more point on the SLAs, right? That once you embrace IP, when your customers come through the internet, what kind of SLAs would you actually give? What's happened is that, internet being internet, there are no guaranteed SLAs. How you actually go through a service provider, the last mile seems to determine the SLA in some form. So what we have done is, we've gone about globally, formed a consortium of partners in starting to determine a routing which helps customers deliver an SLA. So we have addressed this SLA issue. I believe we have not gone all the way, but in about 44 countries globally, we have come out with a deterministic SLA kind of an arrangement with our partner ecosystem that is helping customers run their services over the internet, which we call a product called ISO, which is a product that is making waves now. But I'm not talking about the product per se, but SLAs. If you don't have SLAs, then the customer experience starts beginning to get challenged in multiple forms, because the first thing he'll do is go to somebody else, right? If you're not able to meet the customer demand. So on the net, we need to be extra sensitive to the fact that if on a single click he's not able to get his response and he's not able to get his support, or the holistic experience is going to shift. So the SLA becomes such an important metric as well.
Sure. What are your thoughts on this, Devesh, the importance of SLAs?
Yeah, it's always been there. It's in a regime where the customer sits in a different geography more often than not, and you are having to deliver that service from a different geography. What is the measure, right? There has to be some independent, objective measure. So absolutely, I think it's important that we develop SLAs. But the important point that, with which going back to the convergence point I was making, is that once you go to a converged model, you're talking about one end SLA, and that's it. Because if because if all the service providers in between are boiling down to one person who's going to one service provider who's delivering all the services, the customer then is only looking at the end SLA, and he's only concerned about what it does to his customer and whether that's increasing the market share, increasing their revenue, increasing their profits. And that's the ultimate SLA that they're accountable to to their shareholders. And so from an SLA perspective, I want to make an important point that if you're working in a process and technology converged model, the point that Preeti was making earlier, the ultimate SLA is that, which is how you're shaping up in front of your customer's customer.
So moving on, ma'am, my question is to you. As a technology leader, it is really important to make projects go live ASAP, as soon as possible. But for a multi-channel service delivery project, it takes anywhere between 6 weeks to 3 months for projects to go live. How do you think this process can be expedited?
The thing is that all these new technologies, what we are calling disruptive technologies that have come in, have given us this agility to go to market very quickly. Unlike in the traditional way of working, which I was also part of traditionally for a couple of decades, was around how do you build the right project, how do you execute it well, and how do you take it to market with least number of bugs. I think that is a paradigm shift happening, a complete change of thoughts that is happening, and that is where, from a technology perspective, all of us are tasked to lead that change as well. The mindset cannot be of a perfect solution delivered over 3 to 9 months. The customer end user is not going to wait for us. So what does it mean? It means two big changes that are there. One big change that is happening in the industry is that the appetite to wait for long for something to come and test it out is not there anymore. The people need it faster, and hence we will need to come up with proof of concepts, we will need to engage our customers faster and deliver faster. But this brings another element to it, which technology mindsets are not so ready yet. And this is the ability to take risks. So from the technology perspective, do we have the ability to take risks? Do we have the capability? And are we willing to do that? If we can't, we are not going to be able to partner in this journey and in this era to drive this change. So with the onset of all these technologies into the industry, I would leave it as one point that even from a technology perspective, as I think of an end-to-end process, as I think of the design, as I think of what needs to be taken to the customer, it is all about how fast, how nimble, how agile, how scalable can my solution be, how soon can I engage my customer, and do I have the ability to take risk, where if I fail, can I go back faster back to the same customer? So I think with this mindset, if we go in, I think technology is all there for us available to be deployed. That's my view.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Sridhar, as a service provider,
what she's saying is music to my ears, because we have been talking about scale, agility, ability to shift and look at the customers differently and so on and so forth. They're all absolutely there. So from a service provider perspective, I would say that we recognize that the market has shifted. And it's no more that in-prem, on-prem kind of an equipment that's being sold, which has to be customized and so on. The advantage that we would give is, okay, we are creating this massive infrastructure so that multiple customers can come in and we can learn of each other as well, right? Because we have, like Ankush was talking, we have a single-digit percentage of customers who have gone into an adoption of the cloud environment, and we are seeing that as an opportunity, as well as an opportunity to service this industry that we are holding so closely to our hearts, I would say, because we have been participating in this fantastic journey that you have been going through. So it is our responsibility to build it to scale, to build the world-class processes and assist the various customers that we have in terms of getting onto this. What we want to bring also is a world-class ability to connect to customers globally. We are looking at India as a very serious hosted contact center kind of a destination. But we are also talking to customers globally, especially in the Philippines and so on, who would also come onto our platform. So we are looking at it as a major opportunity to help transform the business. In fact, as we speak, ma'am, in your own organization, we are having these workshops where we are talking about how do we transform the business in there, and we see ourselves as a very keen and very important participants in the whole process.
Sure.